On the mental health side, because we have, Karenza, I would want to go to you before I come to Dinesh. There is, Karenza, you have just talked about what Ermha does, and the overlaps of disability and mental health. And I think I'm sure you would have seen these experiences. And what has to be fixed in the whole pipeline, or the value chain, you may call it in the strategy terms, starting from school and picking it up very early, which we are doing good things. But do we have to discuss this?
Big questions. I can't find words to talk about what you've just said. I was a kid with an eating disorder. I have quite emotional now, crikey, I never get emotional. Myself, a diagnosis of complex PTSD, and yes, I guess significant things as a young kid growing up. I think what happens, or certainly what happened, I think for me, is there are so many no's, so much stigma, so much shame, things are swept under the carpet. My PTSD, complex PTSD, is a result of significant childhood trauma. And so for me, I now sit as the CEO of a mental health and complex disability organisation. I do talk about my lived and living experience. I think it's something that's important, and I think it brings a unique dimension to who we are and what we do. But Dev, you're right. We should be having these conversations, and we shouldn't be having these conversations. We need to find a way to talk about mental health and disability and the intersection between both of those things, but also advocate for that change. And certainly at Ermha, that's something we do. It's something, it's a fire that I have. It's when everyone in the world says no, you have to find a way to say yes. And how can you find a way to say yes? And that's one of the things I think for us at Ermha, that's a participant in a social admission on a hospital ward, shackled to a bed for 9 months. Why? And yet every organisation, sorry, we can't help. The intersection here, the mental health is too complex, the autism's too complicated, the intellectual disability is too hard. This is Australia, right? But we will leave you shackled to this hospital bed for 9 months. Here in Victoria, on record, the Victorian Ombudsman did an investigation into a woman in her 30s with ASD and other complexities who spent nearly 18 months in jail. Okay? And in jail, she was locked up in solitary confinement for 23 hours and 45 minutes a day. She got 15 minutes to leave that period of solitary confinement and go and get some sunshine and fresh air. That was it. And that's how we in Australia are treating people with complex mental health and disability presentations. We don't seem to have the answers or the solutions. So at Ermha, our mantra is we will always do everything we can to find a way to say yes.